Every month, I'm taking a deep dive into a new artist. I listen to a ton of their music, try to make beats in their style, and learn more about them. Last month was Kendrick Lamar. Kendrick Lamar is a legendary rapper, considered by many to be the greatest of all time. Just last year, he swept the Grammys, won his very public beef with Drake, performed at the Super Bowl, and released GNX to critical acclaim, all in 2025. He's known for his social commentary and incredibly well-written concept albums, one of which he won a Pulitzer Prize for, not only being the first hip-hop artist to do this, but being the first artist to do this ever outside of classical and jazz. Damn is right. He's a living legend, his accomplishments speak for themselves, and he's one of the most respected people in hip-hop today. I've known about him since around the time Good Kid, Mad City came out, and I've never been a big fan, which is funny to say after listing all his accomplishments, but it's true. I checked out a ton of his work at the time, but it never really hit me. I think a big part of it is that I was not a huge lyric listener at the time. I was more about the beats and the overall feeling of the song and not listening as much to the lyrics. Which is why this month I was excited to do a deep dive on him and see what all the fuss is about. And boy did I see the fuss. I didn't listen to his entire discography, mostly because a lot of his work takes some time to digest. It's not something you can listen to once and get the full impact of. So I listened to less albums, but the albums I listened to, I gave multiple listens, trying really hard to take the lyrics and the meaning to heart. I listened to Overly Dedicated, Section 80, Good Kid, Mad City, To Pimp a Butterfly, and Damn. I expected Overly Dedicated to be bad, just because I had never heard of it, but I was pleasantly surprised by the quality of it. It's not as conceptual and comprehensive as his later work is, but definitely shows his songwriting talent and has some early bangers. Some highlights include Growing Apart to Get Closer, Alien Girl, and Opposites Attract. Section 80 I had heard about, and it's a very solid album. Conceptual, lyrical, thematic, it's a great foreshadowing of what he's able to pull off to a greater extent in his later work. Like a lot of his best work, it's very personal about growing up in the 80s during the crack epidemic, dealing with that, and systemic racism. You're getting more and more to chew on as you dive into his discography. Some highlights include ADHD, F Your Ethnicity, and Keisha's Song. Good Kid, Mad City took me a week of listening to fully appreciate it. I understood a fair bit of it on my own, but relied on YouTube breakdowns to really get the full picture. This album is also highly personal about him growing up as a good kid in a mad city. That part I figured out on my own. It shows a lot of different sides of his life, from peer pressure to gun violence to drinking to fantasies of wealth. Swimming Pool is one of the first songs I heard from Kendrick, and if you're not listening carefully, it sounds like your average run-of-the-mill rap song about drinking. The meaning is actually quite a bit deeper, and it's actually very anti-drinking. Anyone who's heard the full album gets it, but it's funny to think how many people use this as a turning up song when it's basically the opposite. The album takes place over a single day, and you only realize that halfway through the album, and I really like that being a late reveal. Great album, lots to dive into, too many highlights to name. To Pimp a Butterfly. I had tried to get into this album so many times since it came out, and it never hit for me. This time around, I really sat with the lyrics, giving it multiple attentive listens. The ending track really helped me tie it all together and have a context for the entire album. This is his most famous album, and I feel like any analysis I give would feel incomplete. There's many great ones on YouTube you should check out. I would just be regurgitating what I've heard, so I don't really feel like I should even say anything, but great album, incredible concept, fantastic storytelling. The other part of my month was making beats, so let's look at some beats I made in his style. Alright, here is one of the beats I made this month. I made 7 total, but we're going to look at just a couple today. This is beat number 3. I started with these drums, and I partially took the pattern from Don't Kill My Vibe. One thing I noticed on that song though is they had a really moody guitar, and so I tried to write something in a similar style. This is me playing guitar. Then I added some bass as well. This is me playing bass. Processing and all this stuff is really simple. This is just a DI bass, compressor, saturator, a little bit of EQ. Then for the guitar, I just have some compression, EQ. This is all my buses for space effects. Then later on, I have a shaker. That's actually pretty quiet in the mix. That one's pretty simple, but effective. I like the moodiness a lot. Alright, this is beat number 7. This one's also pretty bare. It's one of the last ones I made, so I was definitely working against my month-long deadline. I won't even say where I got the drums, I think you'll probably pick up on it. Again, very simple processing on this, just a DI bass. Then I added some keys. Just something fun and bouncy. Here it is all together. Yeah, so that's pretty fun. It's pretty basic. I think it's a really good foundation, but it's definitely barren. Okay, and this is beat number 3. You'll probably be able to guess the influence on this one. I got the drums directly from that track. Meaning I copied it. I didn't get it directly in any way. I just listened to it and made the same pattern. Then trying to match the vibe, I wanted something minor in a piano that was also really groovy and catchy. Simple processing on this. When I'm making beats for a month like this, a lot of them do end up being simple just because I run into the deadline and I need to get them finished. It's all pretty basic. I do have some strings that come in later, which I really like. Yeah, so that's a fun one. Okay, that's it for the beats. So that wraps up Kendrick Lamar month. Am I now a Kendrick Lamar fan? Yes. I can definitely say I have a greater appreciation for him. He's a creative genius and he's done some incredible work. That being said, I don't see him as an artist I'll revisit all that often. I see Kendrick Lamar albums like Chris Nolan films, massive conceptual masterpieces that involve multiple times engaging with it to even understand it. Great art for sure, but not something I'll be revisiting anytime soon. At least not on the level I did last month. I considered giving Kendrick Lamar more time, just because his stuff took so much time to digest, but I was really excited to get to the month I'm currently in, which is J Dilla month. Thank you for making it to the end, and I'll see you next time. Peace.